Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. We had an epic conversation last night. We went into Star Trek 4. Doug and I were talking about that. It was good to finally be back talking to Doug about movies and Star Trek. So that was a fantastic conversation last night. If you didn't watch that, hey, you can go back and see it on replay. That was fantastic. You know, we were saying that Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, was our favorite when we were kids. I definitely watched it a lot. So that movie is a high impact movie. It seems on a lot of people. And so we went into it in detail. And I know a lot of you were there. And it was a fantastic conversation. So I was trying to come up with what to do this morning. One of the things going on today, is today the alien hearings? Is this the UFO hearings in Congress today? I think it is. I meant to look into that because I think we should probably talk about that, but I was not prepared to talk about what's going on in UFO world. I dive into UFOs, like the subreddit for UFOs every, 3 to 6 months to see if there's anything going on with UFOs or aliens. I'm still going with no aliens. But we'll have to see if there's some kind of hearing or something like that. We'll see what they say. But I'm going with no aliens. But we will see. All right. Hey, Stray. Good morning, Stray. Oh, yes. I command you with my mental whale powers. Yes. Good morning, Zero the Blade. Hey, Brett. Aliens. Quick, get in. The Discord link. Thank you for posting that, Stray. So tomorrow we may look at the Cool Name RPG. We could have done that this morning, but we got the playtest material for the Cool Name RPG that Mark Tassin is putting together. I asked him if I could. It's my lip cut. Kind of looks like it is. He said that we could look at the playtest material. He posted it. I asked that because he posted it for backers only on Kickstarter. But he said that we could definitely look at it here on the Morning Grind. And so, and I would love to have Mark back to talk on the show, to talk about the Cool Name RPG and its development. For one, welcome our new alien probe overlords. So we will talk about that tomorrow. I just wasn't. I figured that he needed. I need more time to get ready for that. I need more time to get ready for Cool Name RPG and for aliens. So we will see. So what I did think we would look at today then is the Warhammer Fantasy Starter Set. Because we looked at Zweihander yesterday, and we said that it was very similar to this, but it's been a while since I've looked at this. So it's not, I guess, a true unboxing because I have already opened this up. And we went into it on the channel. There's another video on the channel, but it's been so long, I thought, hey, I should go ahead and do this live and talk with all of you about it, and so we can kind of see what the difference is between this set and the Zweihander set. Then on Friday, we're going to be talking about sex, sexuality, and Barbie's relationship with Ken on Friday morning. It's going to be our first Friday morning guest, our first morning guest in general. So she's going to talk, we're going to be talking about the Barbie movie, and particularly, I am sure, because this is the topic, is her specialty, the relationship as it was portrayed between Barbie and Ken. And she streams all the time. So she's just available in the morning. So we're going to talk in the morning on that. But then continuing that theme, I was organizing yesterday a discussion for next Tuesday on the story structure of the Barbie movie. So yes, we've been Barbie movie heavy here, but I was quite critical of it on Monday. I was quite critical of the story structure of the Barbie movie, but Cameron says that he would use that movie for teaching screenwriting. And I was like, well, that's very interesting, because I came to the very opposite conclusion. So Doug, we're going to have Doug, Brianna, Cameron, and me on the stream on Tuesday, trying to break down that movie from our story structure perspective and seeing what's going on. Sable Phoenix says the relationship between Barbie and Ken in the movie is an abusive one. Did you see it? And yes, men can be victims of abuse as well. It just tends to be emotional rather than physical. All right, so that's what's going on. So we are, I guess, when a movie is taking the world by storm like that one is, we should be paying attention from our story structure perspective and our storytelling perspective and all of that. All right, let's go over and take a look at this box over here. Turn the camera over here. And here we are. All right. So this box set, this is also slightly thinner, but it's another one of these really good size box sets here. So this one says, so has anybody played this? Is anyone playing Warhammer Fantasy here? I remember it was doing stuff with combat that I liked. So it says, the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Starter Set contains everything needed to bring the Warhammer world to life. Whether playing for the first time or preparing your next epic campaign, this box set is the perfect starting point for anyone interested in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The adventure book invites players of all experience levels into the rich role-playing world of role-playing playground of Ubersreich. For beginners, an introductory adventure teaches the rules how to play. For experienced hands, there are 10 other scenarios aimed to expand your Warhammer Fantasy game. Oh, well, that's a lot of... It's got 10 scenarios in here, offering new locations, new characters, and new horrors to uncover. Accompanying this, a guide to Ubersreich highlights the bloody history and recent invasion of Ubersreich. It examines more than 70 locations in the troubled town, details the surrounding fiefdoms, and introduces a wide array of dark cults plaguing the area. The Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Starter Set contains everything needed to start an epic campaign. Read this first introduction sheet, 6 ready-made characters, the adventure book, the guide to Ubersreich, 3 rules reference sheets, 3 handout sheets, 49 advantage tokens, 4 highly detailed maps, 2 custom dice from Q Workshop, and a simple Game Master screen. It's time for a new chapter of unforgettable adventures. Okay, includes an exciting adventure that teaches you how to play, and then over 100 pages, it says, of scenarios, locations, history, and introductory rules. Yeah, so we went over Zweihander, which is Warhammer Fantasy role-playing with the paint stripped off, to quote James Bacon, and now we're doing the actual thing. You're right. Well, that's right. So that's why I thought that, well, no, this would be a good day for that. So we can compare. All right, Q Workshop dice. Yep. Read this first. Man, I don't remember any of this. Okay, so what is Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game? I think that's basic. What is role-playing kinds of stuff? So we probably know all of that. But it does say in here we've got adventure book, okay, guide to Ubersreich, maps, character sheets, advantage tokens, reference sheets, handouts. The box lid? The box lid is more than a pretty vessel that contains other goodies. It serves double duty as a handy GM screen behind which the GM can secret dice rolls and notes. There's also a handy summary of some of the prime rules printed directly on the lid, should they be needed. To make the screen, stand the lid up facing the players and pop the base of the box into the lid to hold it in place. Now, there is stuff written in the top of the box. So GM screen, stuff on coins, combat order, not a whole lot. Hit locations, advantage summary. I'll put that back here. So they're telling you to do something like that for the Game Master screen. That's kind of different. At least you could roll dice in here, and it kind of gives you a dice tray. Good morning, Mike. That's okay. I was late this morning, too. Oh, yeah. We were talking about what the different versions were, the editions were. So Zweihander is a continuation of first and second edition Warhammer Fantasy role-playing. This is Cubicle 7's fourth edition and is different-ish. Okay, so yeah, so this is the Cubicle 7 one. So James was saying that Zweihander continues the I can't think of this one. The rule system and the rule set that was originally present in the first and second edition of Warhammer Fantasy. So this one might be different, or is going to be different. So we got character folios here. Solundra von Drakenberg. So for our character sheets, she's a human soldier. So we have the classic Warhammer stats over here, like weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, Is that initiative or intelligence? It's probably, if it's Warhammer, it's probably initiative. But then we also have AGDX and there's INT, so that would be intelligence. I bet this over here is initiative. WP and then FEL. I'm not sure what that is. We also have fate, fortune, resistance, resolve, wounds, and corruption. Armor points on different parts of the body. See, we do have hit locations. I was noticing over here there is hit locations on the GM screen. So we've got armor by hit location over here as well. Right. Yep. You get the dice tray. So dice aren't going everywhere. So we're doing attack by hit location. Trappings, breastplate, +2 armor point to the body. Leather armor, +1 armor point on all locations. Fabulous hat. Everyone comments on it. That is quite a hat that she's got here. Dagger for stabbing foes, see weapons. Sword for hitting foes, see weapons. Clothes keep you warm and decent. Uniform, the livery of a soldier. She's got basic skills. One of the skills here is consume alcohol. Tolerate alcohol. So that's one of the skills here. I wonder if all the characters have the same skills. Else Siglobin. Human witch hunter. Trappings, breastplate, +2 armor to the chest, dagger for stabbing, light armor, +1 armor points to all locations, pistol for shooting, spare pistol for firing again without reloading, sword for stabbing. Let's see. Are the skills the same? Athletics, charm, animal, climb, cool, consume alcohol, dodge, endure, haggle. Looks like it. Heal, intimidate, intuition, leadership, navigation, outdoor, survival, perception, ride, and stealth. Yes. Oh, FEL. Okay. Bane's son says FEL is equal to fellowship. So that's what that stat is. So it tells us, okay, fate. So we got fate, fortune, resistance, resolve, wounds, and corruption. So over here, it says fate. You can permanently spend a fate point to become incapacitated instead of being killed, ensuring you survive the rest of the combat, or you can avoid all damage from one source by spending 1 point. If you spend a fate point, your current fate points drop by 1. I guess we're starting with 3 here because I go with the 3 number up here. Fortune. You can spend a fortune point to re-roll a failed test or add +1 SL to a test after it's rolled, or choose when to act in a round, regardless of the initiative order. At the beginning of each session, your fortune points are set to your current fate point level, +1 for your luck talent. So I do have luck talent +1 fortune point. This is the soldier. Resolve, it says, resilience says you can spend a resilience point to choose a D100 result for your own tests, even after rolling. This will automatically win an opposed test if you are in one, by a minimum of +1 SL. If you spend a resilience point, your current resolve point also drops by 1. Oh, if you spend like that's okay. That was if you spend a fate point, your current fortune points also drops by 1. Resilience, if you spend a resilience point, your resolve also drops by 1. Resolve is you can spend a resolve point to remove 1 condition. So instead of just having fate points, general fate points to help you out, we've got different kinds of points that do different things. Resolve, you can spend 1 resolve point to remove 1 condition from your character suffers. You can also spend 1 point to ignore fear trait and not be afraid. Lastly, you can spend 1 point to ignore negative modifiers from any critical wound for 1 round. Wounds. You lose wounds when hurt. Looks like we start with 50. Oh, we start with 15 wounds over here. You lose wounds when hurt. Refer to the injury reference sheet for more. You lose wounds when hurt. Okay, we got the same sentence over here twice. You lose wounds when hurt. Refer to the injury reference sheet for more. Corruption, how corrupt your soul is becoming. Talents, these are your special abilities. Armor and weapons and trappings. So talents over here are luck, noble blood, read and write, savvy, and warrior born. Picture on the back. So we had a witch hunt, we had a soldier, we had a witch hunter. Let's see. Good morning, PH. High elf merchant. Human wizard. Halfling thief. Dwarf slayer. Those are our characters. Let's see. We do have map on thick card, the Duchy of Ubersreich and the surrounding lands. Inside the town of Ubersreich and surrounds. Duchy of Ubersreich. I guess showing all major fiefs. That's what this is showing. An introduction to Ubersreich and the Empire. I guess what's going on here. Splattered blood. Attribute and skill reference sheet. Okay, we might take a look at that here. Oh, look, injury reference sheet. We might want to take a look at those when we're looking at how to play. We'll see what else is in the box. Here we've got an adventure book, The Grim World of Perilous Adventure. Introduction, Making the Rounds, Adventures in Ubersreich. Critical Wound Table, Dramatic Test Outcome Table. Here is, okay, this is actually a perfect bound book. Soft cover, A Guide to Ubersreich. It's our world book. Handout number 7. Okay, handout number 7. Handouts 1 to 3. Oh, I guess this is, okay, it's like supposed to be cut apart. So handouts 1 to 3, rumors you have heard. Handouts 4 to 6, rumors you've heard. Handout 7, going shopping. There's many exciting things you can buy in Ubersreich's marketplace. The character sheet allows you tells you how much money you've got to spend. All right. So shopping. Oh, here are our tokens. They said these were advantage tokens. So we've got those as punch outs here. Warhammer End Times Vermintide. Warhammer Vermintide coming soon. Oh, that's a video game? Rough Nights and Hard Days. Continue your adventure with Rough Nights and Hard Days. Okay. So where is our actually just learning how to play book? Okay, Introduction to the Empire. Maps. Who is this book for? It's kind of a different format here. So this says contents, welcome to Ubersreich. Ubersreich, a visitor's guide, the province of Ubersreich, and dark cults. Maybe this could be for both players and the game master. I suppose the game master would be most interested. So we've got the Physicians Guild, the Temple of Verena, all of this stuff. Okay, so that's all world stuff. But this right here is also, it said you learn how to play by playing through an adventure or something, right? So maybe they just skipped having any kind of player's handbook or rules handbook. Introduction. The adventure book, Making the Rounds, Getting Started, How to GM, Part 1, To Market, Part 2, Law and Order. Kind of an interesting decision. So this is the adventure. It says, welcome to the adventure book. Maybe this explains more about what this is. The easiest way to learn the game is to play it. To make this as easy as possible, this book guides you through the first game of Warhammer Fantasy role-playing, explaining what to do every step. The first adventure in this book, Making the Rounds. Okay, so that's the first adventure in this book. Contains everything you need to know to make your game as fun for everyone as it can be. Not only does it take you step by step through what you need to do, it also presents all of the rules in easy to understand chunks. But this isn't a starter set for beginners to Warhammer Fantasy. This book offers 10 extra quick scenarios for more experienced players to use as they see fit. The first 4 scenarios can be used to embellish any adventure in Ubersreich and make the perfect aside to the primary plot of Making the Rounds. The last 6 are character side quests, with one aimed at each of the pre-generated characters found in the starter set. Though with a little adaptation to remove or rework the character-specific elements, these scenarios could be played with any group. Okay, so this is a percentile-based system. That's why we've got the dice here from Q Workshop that are percentiles. How many people do you have to play this? It says Making the Rounds is intended to be the first adventure the GM reads in the Warhammer starter set. It offers an introduction to the troubled streets of Ubersreich, a fortress town of the Empire. It also presents the rules of the game in easily understood sections, a perfect introduction to the game. These rules are presented in boxes at the bottom of the book, much like Tricks of the Trade, How to Be a GM below. So that's just for GMs only. So I guess they've got... So I guess it's going to... So we don't have just a how to play book, although I guess what we have here are these, which is our reference sheets. So this is our attributes and skills reference sheet. Sable says this seems to have almost as much in it as the Pathfinder 2 box set. Almost. I think the Pathfinder 2 box set still wins out. It's a bit thicker, but there is quite a bit in here. I mean, there was quite a bit in this Zweihander box set as well yesterday. Got a burger on the way. I'm sorry, James. So, okay, so it says maybe, so give us some idea about exactly what's happening here. With attributes and skill reference sheet, the following summarizes the 10 characteristics. So our 10 characteristics, okay, each has a number typically ranging from 20 to 90. These numbers are used in tests. All right, weapon skill, WS, that's your, okay, WS is weapon skill. Skill at fighting hand-to-hand. BS is ballistic skill. Your effectiveness at hitting the ranged weapons like bows or pistols. Strength, S, how strong you are, impacting how much damage you inflict in combat, how much you can lift, and how good you are at activities like running and climbing. Toughness, T, your endurance. It helps you survive damage in combat, but will also help things like surviving harsh conditions and standing up to poison. Initiative, so I is initiative, speed of thought and reaction, especially in the heat of battle and when under pressure. It determines combat order and helps you be the first to react to danger. It also determines your powers of intuition and perception. AG is agility, physical coordination, and the basis for things like running, riding, and hiding. Agility is used for dodging blows in combat. Oh, dexterity. We've got agility and dexterity here. So dexterity is your affinity for performing fine and delicate manual tasks like playing a musical instrument or skilled manufacturing. It also helps you with things like sleight of hand and picking locks. So agility is physical coordination. On the grander scale, dexterity is your fine and delicate manipulation. INT is intelligence, your powers of thought, analysis, and understanding, useful for healing, evaluating, and general knowledge, and vital for understanding and casting of magic spells. Oh, WP is willpower. general strength of mind, and your ability to shrug off and plow through with the job at hand. It helps you resist all sorts of influences and coercions and guards against fear and terror. So fellowship, as was being said, the ability to on with people and your ability to get on with people and come across as generally pleasant and acceptable. It helps when you are chatting to locals and commanding people in battle, charming the guards and attempting to bribe them, and for pious characters communicating with your deity. Baneson says this box set has a lot of Warhammer Fantasy flavor in it. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Characteristic bonuses. The first or tens digit of each characteristic is its bonus value. So a strength 35 has a strength bonus of 3, and a toughness of 47 has a toughness bonus of 4. Characteristic bonuses are used in a variety of different ways throughout the rules, especially in combat. Okay. Movement and wounds. Okay, movement, how fast you can move. Wounds, your wounds show how much damage you can endure based on your physical power and your force of will to shrug off injury. See the injury reference sheet for more. Character skills. Characters who are trained or practiced with skills show this. Skills are used in place of characteristics for tests. Skills are used in place of characteristics for test. Okay, so we did look at this. It looks like this is our list. Athletics, bribery, channeling, charm, animal, climb, consume alcohol, cool, dodge, endurance, haggle, heal, intimidate, intuition, language, leadership, lore, navigation, etc. So simple tests. It says most tests are simple tests. These tell you if you succeed or fail. Roll D100, and if the result is less than or equal to your skill or characteristic, you succeed, otherwise you fail. Failing can mean things simply take longer. Note the attempt is, or not the attempt is completely fruitless. The GM decides. So Salundra is searching the market for a new leather jacket. The GM calls for a simple perception test. So Salundra's player rolls D100 and scores a 43. Salundra's perception is 32. Because 43 is higher than 32, Salundra fails in her attempt, and the GM decides it takes her quite a long time to find a jacket in the crowded market. You have to roll a perception test to find a item you're trying to you're shopping for in the market. If Salundra's player had rolled 32 or less, the perception would have succeeded, and the GM would explain that Salundra spots clothes in a stall almost immediately. That seems kind of like a lame kind of test to have to take. I'm looking for a jacket. Difficulty. So some tests are more difficult than others. Climbing a sheer wall is much harder than climbing a tree. To simulate this, the GM can assign a difficulty to any task. This will either add a positive bonus or a negative penalty, making the test easier or harder. The following difficulty levels may be applied as the GM feels is appropriate. So very easy is plus 60, easy is plus 40, average is plus 20, challenging is 0. So if you're calling for a flat test, then you're doing something challenging. Must have been challenging to find the jacket in the market. Difficult's -10, hard is -20, or very hard is -30. The modifier is applied directly to the tested skill, either lowering or raising the target number for the test. If the test has no marked condition or modifier, it's assumed to be challenging plus 0. So, for example, Molly decides to chat to the passing Ubersreikers to ask where the nearest bun shop is. The GM calls for an average plus 20 gossip test. Molly's gossip skill is 50, but that's increased by 20 to 70 because of the average difficulty. Morella's player rolls 49. Normally, a roll over her skill of 50 would be a fail, but because of the difficulty bonus, the test is successful, and Molly is pointed in the direction of the nearest food stall. Molly would only fail that test if she rolled over her modified skill of 70. Okay, makes sense. But we're also rolling gossip to get to the bun shop. TSL Frontman says, everyone should metagame and choose the like button bonus. Yes, please do. Thank you, TSL Frontman. So we've got SL I don't understand what SL is. Because there was something about a bonus. You just use the tens value for your bonus. SL +6 or more result astounding success. 4 to 5 impressive success. 2 to 3 success. 0 to +1 marginal success. So, okay, so it says dramatic test. Maybe it's going to tell us down here. Dramatic tests explain how well a task is performed. Like simple tests, roll D100 to determine if a test is a success or failure. Then subtract the tens number of the D100 roll from the tens number of the skill or characteristic being tested. The result is your success level. Oh, SL is success level. It's success level. Skill level, that was a good guess, but it's success level. A positive SL occurs when you succeed at a test. The higher the number, the better the test succeeds. A negative SL occurs when you fail. The lower the number, the worse it has failed. Use the outcomes table. Okay, that's what we were just looking at here, the outcomes table. Below to understand what each SL means in your test. So as an example here, it says Gunnar has grown bored of the market and decides to push toward the crowds to reach the entertainers he can hear playing music in the distance. Gunnar decides to gruffly push his way through, so the game master asks for an average +20 dramatic intimidation test. He's giving you some examples of rolling for a lot here. So it seems to be prompting there's going to be a lot of rolling here, rather than the idea of, well, don't roll if there's nothing, if there's no major problem, or major opposition or something. This seems to be implying with its examples that it wants you to roll a lot. Okay, so he tries to push his way through the crowd, so the game master asks for an average +20 dramatic intimidate test. Gunnar's player rolls 26 against his intimidate of 63, 43 for his skill +20 for the difficulty. The tens number of his intimidate is 63 is 6, and the tens number of his roll is 26, so 2. So Gunnar scores +4 SL. 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. According to the outcomes table, that's an impressive success. Clearly, no one wants to interfere with the Dwarf Slayer, and the crowds part as soon as they see Gunnar's distinctive orange hair. Okay, so maybe it's doing, since we're doing subtraction here, maybe it's trying to not have you subtract 63 minus 26. Maybe that's what's happening here. And whatever 63 minus 26 is, and then look over here on an outcomes table, it's telling you, so what do you roll? No. My score is 63, so 6. My roll is 26, so that's a difference of 4. And then over here on the outcomes table, when we look up 4, it says impressive success. Yes, and you achieved your goals and exceed expectations. For a opposed test, 2 characters can directly compare tests to see who performs better. During this requires an opposed test. An opposed test compares the results as dramatic test for each character. The character with the higher SL on the outcome table is declared the winner, and the difference between the individual SLs is used as the final SL for the opposed test. On a draw, the character should re-roll their tests to secure a winner. Ubersreich is a legal German name. Overrealm. I guess there's no reason it wouldn't be, but it just sounds weird. Yeah, legal Ubersreich. On Warhammer, I like the random class selection. Let's see. Well, we're buying a new hat here. Example. Amherst decides he wants to buy a new hat. The game master calls for an opposed haggle test against the vendor. Armis's player rolls a 51 against his haggle skill of 48, a fail with -1 SL. Because he rolled a 51, his haggle skill is 48. So that's 5 and 4. That's a difference of 1, and it's a failure, so it's negative. Okay. The vendor rolls 69 against his haggle skill of 40, also failing with -2 SL. As Amorous has the higher SL, -1 SL, which is, while it's still a fail, is still higher than -2. He is the winner with the final SL of +1, the difference between the rolled SLs. It was a clumsy exchange and neither spoke well, but Amorous performed marginally better to win the opposed test, letting him buy the hat for the haggle price. Opposed tests often compare different skills. An angry wizard hating burger confronts Ferdinand. This is different than the burger that Stray has on the way. Yeah, right. I want to buy a new hat. Okay, roll haberdashery. That grammatically sound. Okay, so an angry wizard-hating burger confronts Ferdinand. Ferdinand's player asks if he can use the charm skill to calm the irate woman. The GM calls for an opposed charm cool test. Ferdinand rolls 12 against his charm skill of 23 for a success with +1 SL. The GM rolls 34 against the burger's cool skill of 35 for success with +0 SL. So even though the burger rolled a success, Ferdinand rolled a better success. Therefore, Ferdinand is the winner with +1 SL. The GM states that this is enough to calm the burger down, but not for long. Okay, combat reference sheet. All right, let's see how to do combat. Since we don't actually have the books, but we have the we don't have a book that explains this. Well, I've got the main book over there. When combat begins, we zoom in on the action. Every character receives a turn to do something every round. Using dice to determine who gets hurt and who doesn't. You will need to read the test's reference sheet to understand these rules. Okay, so we did that one first, so we're good here. Initiative. To determine the turn order, combatants compare their initiative characteristic and act from highest to lowest. Any ties are broken by comparing the agility characteristic. For example, the characters are caught in the midst of a riot, so it's time to determine who goes first. From highest to lowest, it's Amorous, excuse me, A56 or I56, excuse me. Then Morella, then Gunnar, and so forth, all in order of initiative. Descending initiative. Note that any characters with a surprised condition cannot act for the first round of combat. Turns, Jesus, excuse me. Hey, Dungeon Master. Good morning. If you do random, you get some XP bonuses. Like when creating your character. I don't know that I've ever actually been through the main book. So it says, okay, you have move and an action on your turn. They can be taken in any order. It's presumed you are probably doing both at the same time. You're also encouraged to describe them in one combined maneuver. Once every character has taken a turn, a new round begins, and everyone has the opportunity to take another turn, starting with the character with the highest initiative again. So move. And see, here, you're just going in initiative order, which makes your initiative matter a lot more. We talk about that quite a bit when, roll for initiative in Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so you're basically going in a random order in Dungeons and Dragons, even though you're supposed to be adding your dexterity bonus. So supposedly the more dexterous characters are going to go faster, except for most of the time the bonuses are so small, it doesn't really matter. So this time we're not trying to roll and see if we pass initiatives initiative tests or something like that, I've got the hiccups. We're just saying go in the order of your initiative. Okay, a move involves walking, charging into combat, or running. The GM decides how far you can move on your turn. As a loose guide, you can move M times 2 yards when walking, and your M times 4 yards when charging or running. Here's our Dwarf Slayer. I don't see M. Action. An action involves figuring out what to do and then testing a skill to see if it's successful. The most common action in combat is try to hit somebody with a weapon using WS for melee or BS for ranged, but any skill you can test on your turn. But you can test any skill on your turn. Example. Elsa would like to escape the crowded brawl as soon as possible. So the GM tells her player to attempt a simple dodge test for her action. Fighting. When you want to attack an opponent, you perform a weapon skill test for melee attacks or a ballistic skill test for range attacks on your action. Melee attacks are always opposed tests unless the defender has the unconscious or surprise condition. The defender uses their weapon skill or dodge skill to oppose the attack. If the attacker scores more SL than the defender, it's a successful hit. Okay, so we're doing active defense here. I am so sorry, guys. So this is an active defense game. A lot of us like active defense, so every attack is going to have both sides roll, and we're going to do a comparison. If the attacker scores more SL, as we were just talking about computing on the other handout, then it's a successful hit. Ranged attacks are dramatic but unopposed, and hit if the character passes. Ranged attacks are dramatic, so there was something about something being dramatic over here. So ranged attacks are dramatic but unopposed, and hit if the character passes their BS test. So, okay, so there it's not symmetric. So in melee, it's both players are going to roll. But for ranged attacks, we're just rolling the attacker's ballistic skill. If an attacker hits, reverse the attack roll. Okay, if an attacker hits, reverse the attack roll. A roll of 25 becomes 52 to determine where on the body it landed. Oh, that's determining hit location. If an attacker hits, reverse the attack roll. So 1 to 9 is the head. So that means that if you had rolled like a 90, if you had rolled a 90, well, or an 80, well, 10, if you'd roll 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90, you would reverse that, and that would become 1 to 9, and that's the head. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. Now, everybody, we're going to need to test your BS. Everybody roll a BS test. That was a joke often when playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles. So head, okay, so but 10 to 24 is left arm, 25 to 44 is right arm, 45 to 79 is body, 80 to 89 is left leg, or 90 to 100 is right leg. The hit location is used to see if there is any armor protecting that area. It's interesting that you don't re-roll. You don't re-roll it. So it keeps you from rolling a third die. The attack deals an amount of damage equal to the test's SL plus the weapon damage plus the attacker's strength bonus for melee attacks. This damage is reduced by the defender's toughness bonus plus the armor worn on that area of the body. Any excess is subtracted from their wounds. See the injury reference sheet for more on how to handle wounds and what happens when wounds fall to 0. Okay, so the attack deals damage equal to the test's SL. Okay, we figured out how to compute that. Plus weapon damage, plus attacker's strength bonus for melee attacks. So, for instance, our Slayer here, it says he's got an axe which has a damage of +4 and a strength of 38. So that would mean that his strength bonus is +3 because that's just the 10's value. So he would deal damage the SL of the attack. So the better you did in the attack, +4 because of the axe's damage, plus his strength. So +7. What kind of damage rating do other weapons have? Short sword has +3. Sling has +6. Oh, sling is damage +6. I guess that's higher because you don't add any type of strength score or anything like that to a ranged attack, like you do with melee. I'm sure somebody's got a pistol in here. Let's figure out this. Let's see that. Scythe is +6. Sword and dagger. The BS test, yes. Absolutely, he's within range. And you can I can totally see his shoulder over that terrain. And, of course, there's ballistic skill, but it often got said, what's your BS skill? All the characters have but no, it's ballistic. That would be like, the automatic teller machine. It's not your ballistic skill, but asking about your BS skill often comes up. Sword, dagger. I'm looking for somebody who's got a pistol. Here we got the witch hunter is carrying a pistol. So that's range 20 yards, only damage +8. So the pistol is damage +8, although over here on qualities it says damaging, impale, penetrating, pistol reload 1. So it's got damaging, impale, penetrating, so there's a lot of other things going for it. Oh, it said, I didn't notice this. So on the outside of each one of these character sheets, you're really not supposed to be looking inside like we've been doing. So Salandra, it says, quotations, who is Salandra? What is she like? Confident, capable, but somewhat temperamental. Why play Salandra? Salandra is the natural leader of the party and has several advantages, including being a noble. She can access parts of Uber's Reich society that other characters would be denied. Having trained with a sword since she was strong enough to carry one, she's very skilled in melee combat. She has a strong sense of right and wrong and works hard to do what she feels is the right thing. It says right here, do not look. I would have posted this a bit larger here. It says, do not look inside this character sheet unless you are the GM, or you are definitely going to play Salandra. There are secrets within. So I didn't look at... so character background, group ties, secrets, and stuff like that. So I guess that there are things that each of the characters know for the purposes of playing the game. So that's interesting. So that's why, I guess this is why it's one of the reasons it's in this type of folder. So that everybody doesn't just read through some secret information for the players. So, as an example here, Melandra shoots with her sling at an entertainer for her action, so attempts a dramatic ballistic skill test. She rolls a 13 against her BS of 39. Because it's a ranged attack, the entertainer cannot defend, so this is not an opposed test. Morella scored a +2 SL, and her sling has +6 damage, which equals a total of 8 damage. Morella reverses the test roll of 13 for hit location, scoring a 31, which is right arm. The entertainer has no armor on his right arm and a toughness bonus of 3, so loses 5 wounds. 8 minus 3 is equal to 5. The entertainer started with 12 wounds, but now only has 7 remaining. So we did have a quick reference over here. Yeah, for hit location in the box for the Game Master. PH says, I like using D100 for skills, but there is some relativity when it comes to opposed checks that I find hard to solve in these systems. My 40% is not the same as yours. Absolute results are easier. Uh-oh. Someone wasn't careful with sensitive info this morning. I've been trying to manage that fire for the past several hours. Uh-oh. Doesn't sound fun. Tough Years says, I got the starter set. I find the Cubicle 7 box sets are on par with Free League, who does fantastic boxed sets. We've looked at a couple of box sets from Free League, the Blade Runner box set, or maybe just one. I know we looked at Blade Runner. Yeah, this seems like a quality box set. It's interesting that it doesn't actually have just like a short version of how to play. It teaches you it's got these reference sheets. So, I mean, this is kind of like how to play. But then otherwise it just has go to the adventure book and start playing, and you will learn as you go. And then it has the world information. So, advantage. Combat has a momentum to it, with success bringing greater feats of glory. In Warhammer Fantasy role-playing, this is called advantage. With each advantage token, okay, that's the advantage. The purpose of the advantage tokens. We got advantage tokens. With each advantage token giving the roller a plus 10 bonus to all combat actions. Plus 1 advantage is gained for each of the following. Attacking an opponent with a surprised condition. Spending your move charging headlong into combat. Defeating an important NPC, winning an opposed test during combat, causing damage to an opponent without making an opposed test. Characters lose all accrued advantage if they lose an opposed test or take a wound. So this is your spiraling upward here. Okay, so example, having dodged free of the riot, Solundra charges at Yugfried Agitator, harassing Molly for her move, gaining plus 1 advantage. Because you get advantage when you charge. Winning an opposed test during combat. So that's going to happen a lot because all of your melee fights are opposed melee. Or are opposed tests. So if you win one, I suppose even if you don't injure them, you're still getting advantage. But causing damage to an opponent without making an opposed test. That would be striking somebody with a bow. Okay, so she got Solundra here has got plus 1 because she charged. She then uses her action to attack with her blade. So attempted an opposed WS test. She rolls 30 against her weapon skill of 59. 49 plus 10 for advantage equals 59, thus scores plus 2 SL. The agitator defends rolling 91 against his weapon skill of 30, thus negative 6 SL. So Solundra wins the opposed test by plus 8 SL. Her sword has plus 4 damage, and she has a strength bonus of 3, so she has caused 15 damage. 8 plus 4 plus 3 equals 15. She reverses the test roll of 30 to determine hit location, which is 0-3, a head hit. The agitator has 0 armor there. Oh, this sounds bad. So the blow deals 15 minus armor of 0, minus toughness bonus of 3, 12 wounds to the agitator. The agitator only has 12 wounds, and so is defeated. Solundra's player describes the blade whacking off the agitator's head, knocking him out cold with a single blow. Well, if you whack off the agitator's head, that sounds like you're doing a lot more than knocking him out cold. I mean, I guess so. I cut his head off, so he's out cold. Triumphant, Selendra gains +1 advantage for winning an opposed test. Now she has also 2. So Selendra gains +1 advantage for winning an opposed test. That's what I thought. She has another roll of advantage now. She now has 2 advantage. Next round, she will gain a bonus of +20 for her action. This is interesting. I remember thinking that I liked what it was doing. Nicholas says, the supplement book Up in Arms revamps the adventure system for combat. Easier to understand and manage, I think. Most players prefer the revised advantage system in their supplement. In that supplement? Sable says, I mean, technically decapitation is immediate knockout. Yeah. PH says, I can't work out an enemy with 90% skill rolling 63, winning an opposed check against a character with 40% skill rolling 30 because of degrees of success. Okay, so let's see. So if the skill were 90 and you rolled 63, according to this, you would be ahead. You'd be ahead by 3. That SL would be 3. The other person has a skill of 40 and rolls a 30. So that person has also been successful with their roll, but only by +1. So no, in that case, the player who had 90 and rolled 63 would win. But it's, I think, so if the player had a skill of 90 and rolled 80, then that would be +1. And so if somebody had rolled at a skill of 40 and rolled 30, that would also be +1. And so they're equal, even though that guy has much better skill. And I think that's when you go, wait a minute. So what happened? Because this guy's got such a higher skill and rolled higher. Why did they tie? Nicholas says, in Up in Arms revised systems, advantage becomes a party pool instead of tokens for each and every player every turn. Well, that's interesting. The party, we've looked at some game that had something like that. It wasn't an advantage thing, because this is accruing. When you're doing well, you continue to do well. But wasn't it like 2d20, where if you're failing, then you get something? To basically compensate. Nicholas says, very few characters have skills that high. They're generally middling or low stats, 20 to 60. If you have skills that are 50 plus, you're already a legendary character. PH says, exactly. That one rolling 63 wins. It does not matter if the other absolute roller. It doesn't matter if the other absolute rolls 30. Wins. Yeah, it does not matter if the absolute roll of 30. I don't think I'm not quite following that. I don't think. But okay, let's go over here and let's look at injury. In games of Warhammer Fantasy role-playing, it's very likely you will be hurt. The following explains the different ways of taking damage and how to deal with it. Okay, so wounds. Every character has a number of wounds. Loss of these represents cuts, bruises, and abrasions. Wounds are lost when you take damage. Damage is most commonly caused by combat. Each point of damage you suffer causes you to lose 1 wound. So if you suffer 5 points of damage, you lose 5 wounds. Often, especially in combat, your toughness bonus and armor points will reduce any damage you suffer. If you fall to 0 wounds, you gain the prone condition, explained on the conditions reference sheet. There was a conditions reference sheet? I didn't see that. Which you cannot remove until you gain at least 1 wound. Worse, if you stay at 0 wounds for more than toughness bonus rounds, the prone condition becomes an unconscious condition and you pass out. If you ever would be reduced to negative wounds, you take a critical wound instead. Well, that's probably going to happen quite a bit instead of being hit to exactly 0. So regaining wounds. To recover your wounds, you need rest and medical attention. You attempt an average plus 20 endurance test after a good sleep once per day and may heal wounds equal to the SL of that test, I guess, plus your toughness bonus. A character can also perform a challenging heal test to heal a further SL plus intelligence bonus wounds, although each wound loss can only be treated once per day. You can never have more wounds than your initial total wounds. Critical wounds. Some blows are so terrible they cause critical wounds. These occur in the following circumstances. Okay, if you are reduced to negative wounds, suffer a critical wound instead and set your wounds at 0. If an opponent rolls a critical hit, a double under their WS, for instance, an 11. So if you roll doubles, so a critical hit is a double under your weapon skill. So for instance, an 11, 22, or 33 for a weapon skill of 35. Further, you also suffer an extra wound as detailed on the critical column of the critical wound table. Okay, so saying that if the opponent scores a critical hit on you, then you automatically suffer a critical wound and also extra wounds as detailed according to the crit column. When a critical wound is suffered, roll D100 and consult the critical wound table, which is this thing right down here, to determine what critical wounds you suffer and its effects. If you suffer a critical hit, you also suffer the critical column as damage that is not modified by the toughness bonus or armor points. So you lose that many extra wounds. Okay, so general damage would still be taken care of by toughness and armor points. But here in this critical column right here, you're automatically losing this number of additional wounds in addition to taking a critical wound. This extra wound loss will not lower you below 0 wounds, so cannot trigger a second critical wound. If a character ever suffers more critical wounds than their toughness bonus while having the unconscious condition, they die. For minor characters, dropping to 0 wounds results in death or unconsciousness as determined by the GM. So if you suffer more critical wounds than the toughness bonus while being unconscious, you die. So there are conditions here, and I like conditions. So critical wound table, we've got like gash, gain 1 bleeding condition. Gut blow, gain 1 stunned condition. Low blow, gain stunned condition, pass a hard endurance test, or gain another 2 stunned condition. Winded, gain 2 stunned conditions. Pass an average endurance test against or gain the prone condition. Movement is halved for 1d10 rounds as you get your breath back. Bruised, all agility-based tests suffer -10 penalty for 1d10 days. Torn flesh, gain 2 bleeding conditions. Cracked bone, get a stunned condition. Painful cut, get 2 bleeding conditions. Crippling wound, gain a prone condition. Ruined, shattered bone, gain a stunned condition that can only be removed with a successful challenging heal test. All tests suffer -20 penalty until you receive this medical attention. You can die. Okay, well, you got ruined here. Gain the unconscious condition that can only be removed with a successful heal test. The effective hit location is useless until you spend a month on bed rest. Torn apart is dead. You are hacked in 2. Your top half lands 1d10 feet in a random direction, and all nearby characters are showered in blood. Whoa. That's on a 100. James says, wounds rather than hit points. We're speaking my language now. Hit points are so dreadfully inadequate as a tracker for injury. Like in D&D, I can have 1 hit point and still perform feats of daring do. Yeah, no degradation, right? PH says, I mean, I do like that system. I thought I remembered liking something about, the combat system when I was reading it long ago, so I'm glad I came back to it. I do like that. PH says, I think percentile would work great if everything had a difficulty and only players rolled. Like an enemy has an attack penalty to your roll and so on. That was that might be more like what MERP does, because I remember like the player is rolling to attack, and you had an attack bonus, but then the defender has a defense bonus that's subtracted. I think that's the way that MERP and Rollmaster worked. All right. Well, that was a quick dive into the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing by Cubicle 7. So I like that. I think I like it's clearly, it seems like it has a lot of rolling. Its examples were a lot of rolling to buy a hat and things like that. But I do potentially like its combat system. It would be fun to get into Ubersreich. All right. I have got a bunch of things to do, so I am going to get out of here. I might be going out to dinner tonight. I got to send some messages. So anyway, I will be around. I will see everybody online. I will see everybody tomorrow. Planning on looking at the Cool Name RPG tomorrow. I want to also tell Mark when we were doing that. So do that, and then we'll talk with RM Friday morning. So anyway, everybody, have a great day. Grind on. Grind on, man. Be productive, be creative, and I will see you tomorrow. Later, everybody.